Sound is a part of us. We use it for communication, for expression, creation. It alerts us and alters our state of mind. It seizes control of us, allowing us to relax or compelling us to move. Sound and music are prominent components of life that are impossible to ignore. Sound is all around us. The Faroe Islands are a true place of wonder. Tucked away in the middle of the roaring Atlantic, halfway between Norway and Denmark, they are kept a secret from the world of tourism. In the same way that New Zealand might be associated with the epic Lord of the Rings trilogy, the Faroe Islands have a supernatural charm of their own that leads one to believe fairies, trolls, and other mythical creatures are hiding high in the waterfalls of the mountains or deep in the crevices of the grottos. But before I take you on a phonic adventure through this one-of-a-kind archipelago, let me explain a little bit about sound. Sound is a curious element that plays a role in shaping our lives and also has a life of its own. Here's what a sound wave looks like. You may recognize its shape from algebra class or physics. It is called a sine wave, and typically it is used to describe the change in position of a variable in motion. We perceive large stars the size of our sun as different colors when they move towards and away from us. When the star moves towards us, its color shifts towards blue, and when it moves away, it shifts towards red. The change in color is the frequency of light wave we perceive. In terms of sound, the sine wave would be referred to as an audio wave or change in air compression. A high note will have a higher frequency and cause the length between repetitions in the wave to be shorter, while a lower note has a lower frequency to match it and has longer wavelength. When you hear a cymbal being played, what happens is you create a change in air pressure which causes your eardrum to vibrate. These vibrations are passed through your ear until they hit the cochlea, which converts the vibration into an electrical signal that is sent to your brain. Once these signals reach your brain, you register the sound. Now, here's something interesting about sound waves. They have a lifespan of about forever. That is not to say that our human ears can detect the sound for that long. Sound waves combine with each other to be carried out as one large wave. For example, the ripple of sound coming from the waves of a river might combine with the rustle of the wind. This exchange of sound causes the audio waves to last for years and years until they reach us. Even when we stop hearing waves, they are still moving back and forth at a low, inaudible register. At their lowest form, they dissipate and turn into heat, but never completely leave us. Our culture, our ancestors, and our land all lay within the detailed layers of sound. From the calls of the birds to the accents of our people, sound shapes our lives. In fact, life is just one big, chaotic sound wave. Ever wonder what passing through the wardrobe to Narnia would be like? Well, it would sound something like this. The Faroe Islands have a rich sound that is heavily rooted in its history and landscape. Currently, the music scene around the Faroe Islands is being shaped by an array of contemporary musicians who play all types of music, from metal to independent pop. The land has a heavy influence on these modern musicians, many using field recordings and sampling nature sounds in their compositions. Christian Black, a musician who came to the Faroe Islands from Denmark, has several albums that include sounds from the island. His album, Fuglamal, is mainly composed of bird sounds unique to the islands of Mykines. He founded the world-renowned band Yggdrasil and is also the owner of Tutul, the sole record company in the Faroe Islands. Christian puts on concerts every year in the grottos of the Faroe Islands. It is a mystical, once-in-a-lifetime experience that music lovers and adventurers must seek out. The 2-hour boat ride alone is worth the money, taking you through some of the most beautiful scenery that the islands have to offer. The grotto itself can only be described as otherworldly, and the light seeping in from the entrance is the only source of visibility. Take note that these spectacular performances are only available when weather permits. If the wind is too harsh, it is impossible to hear the musicians in the grotto, and the concerts have to be cancelled.
It's not always decided beforehand what we play at these events, but Ian and me, we play so often together. We have a large repertoire together.
Is it a bit improvisational also?
Mainly.
Mainly improvisation.
Yeah. It should be quite free because we also want to include we do include the sounds of the cave. That's the idea with it.
That's great. How many years have you been doing this? Going out to the cave and playing?
40.
Wow.
39 actually.
That's really great.
Yeah.
So have the acoustics of the cave changed over the years?
No, not that place. We have to go to different caves according to the wind direction. Where we're going now is the largest cave I've been to. And that's also the most scenic. Sound-wise, they are just different.
As we pulled into the grotto, a puffin flew from the cave. The musicians unloaded their equipment onto what would be their stage, a small, slippery ledge jutting out of the grotto's wall.
Go up there?
Up there? We'll be on this ledge here.
Oh!
Oh, the water's not still enough.
It's so cool.
Oh, guitar!
No! Careful, Christian. Good luck, guys!
We were then taken to the end of the cave, which was filled with boulders that people could sit on. It is a bit risky to load onto the rocks, so you have the option of staying on the boats. Each area of the cave produces a different mix of sound. On our end, waves crashed relentlessly against the rocks, while the constant echoes and vibrations of the cave acted as a natural reverb for the instruments. It made for a unique performance that would never be heard or played the same way again. Here in the grottos, no two concerts are alike. Christian Black isn't the only artist influenced by the terrain of the Faroe Islands. I met up with acclaimed music artist Ivar Pálsdóttir to talk about her phonic relationship to her home.
And you're talking about the wind and the waves. Can you tell me more about how the landscape in the Faroe Islands has influenced your music? I know a lot of lyrics you talk directly to the landscape. But how has that affected your music?
Well, when I play music, I feel just like a part of nature or a part of the big picture or something. And that's how nature makes me feel as well. Like you feel smaller, you don't feel like, how can I say, you get rid of your ego because you're just one dot in a big picture. And when you grow up in a place like this, it's you have a lot of respect for nature as well, because you've been here a couple of days and you can't really make big plans because the weather changes so much. So
True.
So you have to be very open about, okay, are we going out sailing today or not? Maybe not.
You're kind of at the mercy of the nature.
Yeah, we'll see how the weather is, and that's I love that about the Faroese nature, and
it's got a whole personality of its own.
Yeah, and it has affected my music a lot, and my music, all my albums are very different. Like the Faroese weather, you can
Definitely,
say.
yeah.
And we also have we have a lot of painters here and a lot of artists from the Faroe Islands who are very inspired by the nature here, I think.
Did you grow up in Gøta?
Gøta, yes.
Gøta, yeah.
Very
Okay.
good.
I mean, you just played there
Yeah.
recently. How was playing there?
It was fantastic because it was my birthday at the same time as I played there, and I don't play so much here in the Faroe Islands. So I try to keep it down because we're so few people. I don't want them to get tired of me here. So I played that gig, and the sand was just filled with people, and I was quite sentimental about it because, you know, being home, and I used to play on that ground where they all stood, and so it was very special for me to play that concert. It always is. And of course, you know, that town is, maybe you can say, it's probably my biggest inspiration because that's where I grew up, and that's where I've, you know, had my long walks in the nature and dreaming about becoming a musician when I was 6-7 years old.
Let me take you now to Mykines, an island which has an estimated 25 inhabitants. That number might even be generous. Who is the true conqueror of this island? The Puffins. With their population drastically reducing in various places around the globe, many find refuge in Mykines, along with other birds on the island. The positive side is that puffins have a lifespan of 20 years or more, and their population in Mykines has been increasing. Though the variety may not be as great as before, you are still able to see a nice amount of birds on Mykines, one of them being the kittiwakes. These birds have their own sonic reputation around the Faroe Islands. Similar to the English phrase chatterbox, a person may refer to you as the kittiwake if you begin to ramble, but I digress. During the summer, it is not hard to find entertainment, as music fills the streets of the Faroes every night. Local venues and bars host concerts more often than not, and there are quite a few festivals and celebrations that are put on throughout the season. My personal favorite is the G Festival, located right on the sandy shores of Gøta. The tradition here is to run into the icy cold waters of the Atlantic until you no longer feel your toes, then run back as fast as your frozen legs permit you to the hot steaming jacuzzis. The stages at the G Festival range from small intimate settings where you can walk up to the musicians to the grand stage that hosts thousands of festival goers. In 2013, We were lucky enough to have a beautiful sun-filled weekend. However, at previous G festivals, musicians have braved fog, wind, and storm to perform here. With the bipolar weather of the Faroe Islands changing every 10 minutes, putting on a festival is a phonic miracle. Here are some of our favorite performances. Tradition in a musical context can refer to the transference from one audio wave to another over hundreds and hundreds of years. Through this method, the Faroese have preserved a forgotten history of ancient Northern Europe. On a Sunday morning, the people of Goethe gathered on an old Viking ship to practice kingo, a Gregorian vocal technique. The Faroe Islands national holiday, 15,000 people gather in the center of Tórshavn, the capital of the Faroe Islands. Around 11 o'clock, the town begins to sing Old Norse ballads. When the clock hand strikes midnight, everyone links arms and performs the world's largest chain dance.
In the Faroe Islands, this is the only place we still do this dance. And we sing all these old ballads. Some of them are many hundred years old. We are singing about all the kings in Norway, and now I was singing the ballad of King Olaf Tryggvason. So it is more than 1,000 years old this was happening. It was an international dance, a European dance, but now it is a Faroese dance, and we call it Faroese dance because we don't know other places they are doing this, and we have no instrument. We only sing. So the meaning in the chorus, in the repetition, it is their dance here in the hall. Take in each other in hands. We are singing about Norwegian men. They are happy now. They are going to a battle.
At Olavsøka, Ivar's song Elisabeth og Ellenborg is sung alongside these 1,000-year-old ballads.
I just remember last year when I was on Olavsøka, I was walking down the street and I suddenly heard 15,000 people singing my song, and my heart stopped. I was really shocked, actually, and quite touched.
Culture, land, home, and tradition. Ivar implements all 4 of these elements in her music. The sounds of the past give her inspiration, and in return she keeps them alive. Singing on the shores of her hometown Grota, Iver transmutes her music back into the land that she was born in, her sound waves carrying new and old vibrations. In these waves, the Faroese historical culture begins to transform. Faroese music has always been international, as the ancient ballads came from all over Northern Europe.
I've always loved languages, and there's so much music in languages, and there's a different tone in English than in Faroese, and I like to play with that. I've traveled a lot with my music, and when you come from such a small place that nobody knows about, you very easily become quite sentimental about it, and you want to tell people about it. And I've always been very curious about cultures, and I like to mix things together. And I think I got a lot of inspiration from abroad, from other cultures as well, and I've mixed it together with our culture here and with new sounds, and I've always thought that's very exciting.
We've explored the Faroe Islands through a medium of sound and music. The bird calls, enchanting grottos, historical dances, and lively festivals have shown us how sound creates much of the environment that we live in. Sound has always existed, stemming from the ancient corners of the past, informing our future that lay before us. It constantly alters our state of being, and we too change it.
Because music is such a big ocean, and there are so many possibilities and so many ways to go. I will always be curious about it.
Join Phonic Earth on our next adventure as we continue to explore the world through sound.